Hey everyone, welcome back to Midlife Awakening. I'm really grateful you're here. Today, we're stepping into a story that is raw, honest, and deeply human. It's a story about loss, confusion, faith, and ultimately encountering God in a deeper way. We're talking about Job. And maybe this episode will meet you in a place where things don't quite make sense, where prayers feel quiet, where you're holding on, but just barely. Job was described as blameless, upright, someone who feared God and turned away from evil. He was faithful, and yet everything in his life began to unravel. In a very short time, Job lost his children, his wealth, his security, and eventually even his health. And this is important for us to understand. Job's suffering wasn't because he did something wrong. Sometimes we carry this quiet belief that if we're doing everything right, if we're praying, trusting, staying faithful, then life should go smoothly. But Job's story gently corrects that. There are seasons where suffering is not about punishment. It's about something deeper that God is doing, something we may not fully see or understand. Can you imagine the weight of what Job experienced? Loss after loss, grief layered on grief. And then the voices around him didn't help. Even his friends who came to comfort him ended up accusing him, assuming he must have done something to deserve it. And maybe you felt that too. Not just the pain of what you're going through, but the loneliness of feeling misunderstood. When people try to explain your pain in ways that don't fit, or when they offer answers that don't bring comfort, there are seasons where everything feels like it's falling apart. And even the people around you don't quite know how to sit with you in it. But God sees. He sees what others don't understand. One of the most beautiful things about Job is that he was honest. He didn't hide his pain. He didn't pretend everything was okay. He questioned. He lamented. He cried out. And yet, he stayed. He didn't walk away from God. In Job 13, verse 15, he says, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him." That kind of faith isn't polished or perfect. It's real. It's the kind of faith that says, "God, I don't understand, but I'm not letting go." And if that's where you are today, still holding on, even with the questions, even with tears, that is faith. God does not reject your honesty. He welcomes it. After everything Job went through, there comes a moment where God finally responds. And it's interesting. God doesn't come in with a detailed explanation. He doesn't answer every why. Instead, he reveals who he is. He speaks of his power, his wisdom, his authority over creation. It's as if God is gently reminding Job, "I see what you cannot see. I understand what you do not understand." And something shifts in Job, not because he suddenly got all the answers, but because he encountered God in a deeper way. Sometimes, what our hearts need most is not an explanation, but a reminder of who God is. Yes, Job's life was eventually restored. But what stands out even more is what he says in Job 42, verse 5. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Before the suffering, Job knew about God. After the suffering, he knew him more deeply. There's an intimacy that can come through hardship, a closeness with God that is formed in the quiet, in the questions, in the waiting. And while none of us would choose those seasons, God does not waste them. So let me gently ask you today, where does God feel silent in your life right now? What are you carrying that you don't fully understand? And can you trust Him even here? Not because it's easy, but because He is still good, still present, still sovereign. If you're walking through a season that feels like Job's, just hold on. Even if your faith feels small, even if your prayers feel weak, even if all you have is a quiet, God, I trust you, that is enough, because He hasn't left you. He sees every tear, He hears every prayer, and He is closer than you think. Thank you for spending this time with me today on Midlife Awakening. If this spoke to your heart, I would love for you to share it with someone who might need encouragement. And as you go through your day or your night, may you be reminded, even in the silence, God is still there.